Hi guys, my name's Jenny Savick, and for our virtual museum project, I was given the New Museum. The New Museum is a contemporary art museum located in New York City. Before we really get started exploring the museum, I wanted to talk a little bit about the museum's history and actually their really cool building, which you can see right now. It looks like a bunch of misplaced Legos. So if we go to About, another fun fact about the New Museum is that they have very detailed records. So I'm going to give you a brief look at their history. If you want to continue looking at their history, you can definitely, scroll down here and press Explore History. But the brief history is that Marcia Tucker created the museum in 1977. Before that, she was the director at the Whitney, and she noticed a problem. And just like Dana and Weil, she started to try to come up with a way to solve the problem. And the problem was that living contemporary artists were having a hard time fitting into the traditional art museum mold. And her way of solving that was to give them a space of their own. So the New Museum, for the longest time, only exhibited artwork from living contemporary artists. During the AIDS crisis is when that idea changed, and they began to display artwork from recently deceased contemporary artists. Another fun fact about the New Museum's history is that they're a non-collecting museum, and what that means is that they don't have a permanent collection. So all of the money and funding, grants, all of that goes towards, hosting new exhibits, traveling exhibits, and then education and initiatives. So that's going to be one big thing that we talk about a lot during this, on this website. The building itself, as I said, it looks like a bunch of misplaced Legos, but this is its third building and hopefully its last building. But if you click on it, I'm going to show you some of the museum space, so I'm hopefully not scrolling too fast for you. But the museum itself has 8 floors to it, 7 of which are above ground. So the first floor is the lobby. It's also a gallery space, and the really cool thing about the first floor is that it has floor-to-ceiling windows on the street. So even people who don't, enter the museum, they still get to see some artwork. Now, the museum itself exhibits all different kinds of artwork. They exhibit installation pieces, performance pieces, paintings, interactive, sculpture, drawing, photographs, mixed media, new media, and digital media. So all different kinds of artwork for all different spaces. The real cool thing about the New Museum's building is that it's a total open floor plan, which is why the building looks like misplaced Legos, is so that they could have this open floor plan. Now the basement has basically an auditorium, and that allows for them to have panel discussions, speakers, watch videos, and basically have group discussions. It's also where some performances are held. And as you guys can see, there's all different, ways to use this venue. And then on the 1st through 4th floor, these are just some pictures. So this is the first. So this is the 2nd floor. This is the 3rd floor. And this is the stairway up to the 4th floor. And then this is the 4th floor. The 5th floor is used primarily for education, and it's houses, their education center and also their resource center, which we'll get to in the Learn section of the website. The 6th floor is kind of the boring floor. That's where, the museum staff work. And then the 7th floor is called the Sky Room, and it's the very top floor. It has floor-to-ceiling windows on 2 sides. It also has an outdoor seating area, and this is where they host events. So, as I said, it's a really neat building. If we go to initiatives, we'll see what some of this money goes towards. So the New Ink is for artists, and they work with collaborating with other artists, and it's basically a professional development program working with art and new media, digital media, and technology. So it's a really interesting, it's an interesting way to start to develop new skills. Idea City is a community-based program, and Idea City takes place in 4 cities a year. It always takes place in New York, but last year it also took place in Detroit and then 2 other cities out of the country. And Idea City, what it does is it's a free public event, and they have performances, they have collaborative art projects, they have panel discussions, speakers, videos, all different kinds of things that show that as, cities continue to grow, so does the culture and the arts around them. One little fun fact with Idea City is that the New York Idea City event had a small panel of mayors come and talk about what it takes to become a mayor or being a mayor. And then Rhizome is all about documenting digital media and digital culture. So Rhizome is basically trying to make sure that we don't forget what's going on in the internet. Learning's really cool, and we'll talk about this a little bit more in my 5-minute video. But to get to the community events, First Saturdays for Families it's the first Saturday of the month, and it's for families with children up to 10 years old. And they can come and explore the exhibits, and then through with a staff member, they'll talk about the exhibits, and then they'll also create, a fun, take part in a fun creative activity. Teen programming. If we click on teen programming, we'll get to the school programming later. But if you scroll down to teens, the experimental study program, that's been around since the 1980s. And what it is it's 15, kids who apply to it, get to work with artists and, talk about different types of culture, learn about different types of art. It's a really great program. The Teen Apprentice program it's available each summer. You actually have to go through the New York City work program to get into it. But they basically intern to see what it's like to work in a museum. And then Teen Night. This is an annual event. So Teen Night, you get into the museum for free if you're a teenager, of course. And you can go into the galleries and look at all the different exhibits and have discussions about the exhibits. There's panels there. There are speakers. There are collaborative art projects to take part in. There's installation pieces to create. There's all different kinds of things to do so that teenagers aren't just sitting there and thinking, oh, museums are boring. No, they're bringing the museum down to, to the teenager to make it interesting and fun for them. Last year they ended the night with having a local rapper in New York come and, close out the event. Then if you go up and you go back to learn, if we go to summer 2018 research and development, this is another thing that New Museum gets to take part in, is the research and development, and they have artists working in-house in creating artwork that, you know, deals with a specific subject. So this subject here is social justice. They had animation this spring, body last spring. So they have a lot of different, you know, research and development that you can look at. And, you know, you can click on all of these and they'll bring up information. If we go to the exhibits, as I said, all of these exhibits are they're current exhibits. Unfortunately, because they're current, there's not any photos of them. But if we click on the Loom of History, we can actually look at and see what the exhibit's about. And then as you go down, it'll give you to continue reading, and it goes more in depth, and it actually tells you about the artist as well. Some exhibits also have a thing called Dig Deeper, and if you click on that, it gives you MP3s that you can listen to while you're actually looking at the exhibit. So the audio guide about the ear, the artist is talking about the actual idea of the ear hears our history. So it's kind of a neat experience to listen to the artist actually talk about their artwork and how different aspects play into their art. And then if we go up to visit, now the hours in admission, as I said, you guys can see right here where the museum is located. But public hours, you know, 11 to 6, Tuesdays and Wednesdays, Thursdays 11 to 9, Friday and Sunday, it's 11 to 6. Sky Room is only open to the public on Saturdays and Sundays. Admission, and we talked about this before during class about museums charging admission. Unfortunately, so does the New Museum. For adults, you know, it's $18. For seniors or people with disabilities, it's $15. Students are $12. Students, I believe, are going to fall under college students. And then children, you know, children for as young as you want to bring them to the museum, up into 18, get in for free. To go along with what we've read about before, Thursday nights from 7 to 9 is a pay what you can, and they suggest $2, but it's, you know, whatever you can do. So it gives everybody access to the museum. Another way to have access to the museum, I'm going to skip tours for a second, is another way to get access to the museum for free is that you can bring in gently worn shoes or coats to benefit the community, and you'll get a free ticket. And it's not just for Thursday night. Accessibility, if you're hearing impaired, they do have listening devices and headsets to help you also follow along to what's going on in the exhibits. They're also ADA friendly and also have wheelchairs for you. This museum also allows sketching. The only time they don't want you sketching is when the museum's incredibly crowded. And then to go on about tours, they have docent-led tours, but they're only once or twice a day. And there's only 20 people who can go on them. So this isn't a tour for a school. This would be if you're coming by yourself and they talk about what's all going on in the museum. Your guided tours are more so, your guided and self-guided tours are what is most for, you know, schools. The guided tours are by people who work within the museum, so probably docents. And price depends on whether you're a K-12 school or a college. And then self-guided tours, you're still paying a little bit of money for those. And then non-guided is you go into, you know, the public tours and you talk with them.